Hello, my fellow plant people. It is just about the end of January. And while a lot of folks may be thinking about Valentine's Day coming up or the superb Owl Sunday coming up, you know what gets my heart aflutter at this time of year? It's finally looking through all of these seed catalogs. I buy lots of plants, so I get lots of seed catalogs. And now is a really fun time of year to be thinking about what seeds I want to order. I actually spent some time doing my whole order last weekend, and ironically, I feel like all the seed sales hit my email inbox this weekend, but it's okay because the cool thing about buying seeds, about starting plants from seeds, is that it's a heck of a lot cheaper than buying fully grown plants. To be fair, there's a risk when you buy seeds that they might not germinate, they might not sprout and grow into plants. There's also some time and effort and space that you need to have to start seeds on your own. So it's a give and take, but I really enjoy buying seeds for specific things that I know I'm going to want in my garden. So today I want to take you through a little bit of how I get organized to buy my seeds. In part, I know which, at this point, it's been like several years, maybe even like getting close to 5 years that I've been starting seeds myself. So I get a sense of what I like to take care of, what works for me, what I'm going to want in my garden. But I want to take you through my process so that you get a sense of how I do it. Maybe it'll inspire you or help you get organized as well. There's a couple plants that I definitely am going to be focusing on that I love. The first being marigolds, and then petunias, and then what I want for my veggie garden / herb garden for this year. Those are the three, I would say the three core plants that I buy some version of them every year to start from seed, but I do rotate what I want based on what colors I'm thinking about and what flavors and scents I'm excited about. So that's something to keep in mind, is like there may be a plant that you normally buy a ton of that costs a lot of money, like petunias. That would be for me. Petunias cost a lot of money. Well, depending on if you buy them by flat. But anyway, if you need a lot of petunias for your garden, it may be worth your while, especially if you want specific colors, to start them from seed. Marigolds, easiest thing to start from seed I think I've ever experienced. So I find I can pop them in anywhere in the garden, and they add a little bit of sunshine, and they bloom all the way from like later on in the spring, I would say, all the way through fall, and sometimes even make it a little bit through a frost. It's a little give or take on that. But marigolds, I always have a use for, and they always perform for me. So that's why I pick them. And finally, things that I want for the veggie garden, that changes year to year. My kids have gotten bigger, what they will snack on. Like, I've discovered they don't like cherry tomatoes. So I kind of pick flavors based more on what I think I would like or what my husband would like, because he goes in and like picks them off at the end of the day too. It's a delight. Herbs, I have my vertical tower garden now that has strawberries at the top, and I want to put herbs at the bottom. But what herbs you want change year to year, just as your taste can change year to year, and herbs are another start from seed superstar. I'd say they're pretty easy to start from seed. A lot of times I just throw them out in the soil when the weather's warm enough, and they do just fine. But those are the main categories that I try to hit with my seed starting. You might have something different. I would love to know what things you delight in starting from seed. But with that, let's get started into my particular process for how I get organized. Okay, so this is where we're going to get a little bit technical because I want to share my favorite garden planning tool. My tool of choice is Pinterest, which you can either use from a web browser or from the app itself. Pinterest works by taking a web address, so perhaps you're on a seed catalog's online webpage and you see a flower you like. You can grab the link and then pin it to a board inside Pinterest. And then you will have a picture of that flower as a visual reminder of something that you pinned. I like it because I can see a lot of different parts of my garden all together at the same time. And that's really helped me throughout the years to both remember what I have and also be able to see it. So with that, let's dive into my gardening boards that I have right now. Okay, so here are some of my boards from previous years, like 2021, giving you a sense of what I had in various parts of my garden, or different kinds of flowers, things I didn't remember where to put them. It all just helps me keep track. And that's the big thing for me, is keeping things tracked in a visual way. Here's the board I started for 2022. This is where I knew some roses were coming in from my lovely mother-in-law. I wanted to keep track of that. Some dahlias that I ordered during the summer during a really good sale. You can see I'm going for kind of a pink theme this year. Here's what I was thinking for my petunias for next year. Again, it's a good way to capture thoughts before you actually buy stuff too. And then here's my spring bulbs that I ordered during the summer as well. Like, again, hard to remember these things all the way in January that I ordered in the middle of summer. So that's what I started with for my 2022 board. Okay, so how do I keep record year over year of what I have in my garden? Well, here what I'm showing you is that I've gone into my rose bed from last year and I've started copying over each of my pins really quick. It's very quick, so quick you're probably missing it because you can't see where I'm putting my finger at any given point. I'm copying them over from the 2021 rose border over to the same section in my 2022 garden. It's a little bit of extra effort, but it means I keep a record over time of what's in my garden. So yeah, this is one of my perennial beds, the rose border. I'm almost out of room, but that's how I keep track. All right, and here's the 2022 board all filled out with things from my perennial beds and things that I'm hoping to plant this year. You can see some empty boards, and that's because I have seeds I want to put in the hanging baskets and the flower pouches, but I want to keep them all in the seed starting section that you may have seen up at the top. We're going to go there soon, but eventually I'll move them down. But for now, this is where the veggie garden goes behind the garage. Not much there yet, but that's because they're all in the seed starting section. Okay, so let's go through a couple of my goodies. My container bulbs for next year, those I already bought, but just helps me remember what the beginning of spring will look like. And then I think we're going to go into marigolds next. Yes. So these are my new marigold seeds that I'm going to start this year. A nice variety of warm colors. I love that marigolds can be so many different highlights and patterns, and I think they're all going to be beautiful. So that's what I'm planning on for my marigolds this year. Really excited about that. For seeds, other seeds, you can see I got a variety of stuff, not just petunias, but we'll start with opera raspberry. I really like that variegation. The tidal wave petunia is going to go in my front yard. Love how that billows around on the edge. Salvia, I always have in my containers. Nasturtium is going to go in the veggie garden. Those are two I haven't grown yet, and I'm excited about that. Now, for herbs, this is where I accidentally clicked on the link and went to Burpee itself. But these are some of the herbs I'm planning on doing. Oregano, thyme, looking so pretty. I finally killed my mint, time for more mint. Basil's always a classic and a feature in my garden. And then here, Napa Grape hybrid tomato. We grew that last year, it was super tasty. This year, I'm bringing in the honeycomb hybrid tomato. It looked so good. And then a classic, the Vortex pole bean. That's popular with everyone. And then for my container gardens, I've got some more petunias that I'm choosing to go with. Again, that Supreme Raspberry looks awesome. I don't think I actually bought the cappuccino ones, but maybe I did. Oh well, we're gonna find out, right? Again, seeds are cheap. You mess it up, it's not too much of a hit, and you can always buy them later. So again, ultimately these pins will go into like the hanging baskets or the flower pouches section. But for now, I want to keep track of all my seeds in one spot. And here I wanted to show off one of my perennial beds. Here's my driveway garden. You can tell I've got like a blue and gold and purple white combo. Just love those colors together. Front yard is a little variation on that theme, kind of bending into more magenta and some hot orange and red colors. That's where the tulips and those crocuses got planted. So again, helps me remember what's in a particular bed. My rose border, is almost full. So it's nice to just look at them all and remember. But down there you might see some daffodils that I planted last fall. We'll see. All right, and we're back. Like I said, I already ordered my seeds last weekend, so I actually expect some of them to arrive in the mail this week. It's still way too early for me to start any of my seeds, but I like getting my packets as soon as I can because there's a lot of great info on the back to help me decide when I want to start planting them indoors. Knowing your first frost date is going to help, but again, I want to save that for another video where we actually go through and plan out together how we're going to start our seeds this year. But I like having the packets because even though it's really nice to document it all on Pinterest, there's something about having them right in front of you that helps me plan a lot better than electronically. But that's going to be the next step. Seeds arrive. I try to keep them all in the same place. Some years I have not succeeded in that and have found seed packets I forgot I ordered weeks later, but it's all good. Seeds are cheap. It's a great way to get started without spending a whole lot of money. And mistakes are cheap at this level. Anyway, that'll be next. Start looking up your first frost date if you haven't already. Think about buying some seeds if you want, or if you just want to follow along for the ride this season. I am so here for it. Yeah, next up for us, we'll be starting to plan out when we actually can plant our seeds, and hopefully I can share with you my setup as I get ready to host a whole nother round of baby plants that keep me going through the really dark and boring winter months. Anyway, wishing you all a safe, happy, fulfilling early part of 2022. I know this part's really slow, especially for those of us who garden, but it's going to pick up before we know it. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye. Thanks, Harley.